Hey guys, welcome to Flat Top King. Hey, today is all about the best steak on the griddle. You guys stay tuned. All right, here's the deal. We got the Blackstone heating up, and today is all about how to produce the best quality griddle steak. And I say that because I did not say the best steak in the world. I actually do not even prefer a steak on the griddle. I eat them all the time, different recipes. Sometimes we come out and just experiment. But if I had my last steak on earth, it's over open flames and charcoal, actually forward sear over the reverse sear. At me if you want to. That's just my preferred method. All right, this is the deal. We will have on the flattopking.com a full list of my thoughts because there are a lot of them and I don't want to take your time. I know people say I'm long-winded, my videos are too long, but I like to teach people how to cook and I like to show people good and bad what happens when. This video is no different. So what I've done is taken all the bull crap out. I personally have 3 non-negotiables. Number 1, you got to dry your meat. This is the deal. Dry meat equals crust. Wet meat equals steam. When you put your wet meat, you can get away with it on a charcoal grill because there's no solid surface. You've got the airflow with the grill grates, your charcoal separated, all that stuff. On the griddle, it's a flat surface. You put wet meat on there and it takes a lot of energy to evaporate that moisture before it starts rendering out the fat, okay? So this is what we got. Let me show them what we got here. All this, although completely different, is choice, okay? I want you to see what we saw at the grocery store and you guys explain to us why we picked it. Exactly. You cannot get away from all that intramuscular fat, okay?
That is a good ribeye.
Now, granted, they are a little bit thinner. We're fine with that. But I could not pass these up for what I was looking at. Second, we've got a good New York strip, very common, very popular. And then the filet. So number 1, dry meat. Okay, and it kills me if you turn this back over on a wet surface. So you want 360 degree dry meat, okay? Some things that we are not going to mention today is whether or not you like to season ahead or season before or season after. Like I said, all that information is going to be available at theflattopking.com. Okay. So you guys see how much moisture we're pulling out of these steaks? A lot better. Number 2, we're going to talk about the griddle heating up. You're talking about maybe 450 or higher, okay? I don't shoot with an infrared thermometer all the time. Barely any, but for this video I will. What I look for is wisps of smoke, okay?
Is that on low?
Very past low. Like I'm talking about like a half a hair past low.
And it's a cold day.
Yes, and that's why. The one thing that I do want to iterate about heat displacement is if you've got a 28, a 17-inch, or a 36-inch griddle, depending on how many steaks you put down, you have to imagine how much energy it's going to zap from your griddle, okay? You have to have enough space to be able to flip over into a new spot. I think that's key because if you flip the steak over in the same exact spot, it's cooler. We even did that in the steakhouses. So number 2 is the non-negotiable. How much space, how much meat, and what temperature your grill is. That all matters. All right, here we go. So on seasoning, I'm keeping it basic. Listen, I have my own steak seasoning. We do not have the recipe. We are going to be bottling this sometime in, I don't know, in 100 years or something like that. Maybe my grandkids will bottle it for me. The point is, we like seasoning. This video is not about whether or not you like salt and pepper, whether or not salt and pepper should only be on a steak, when you should salt your steak, dry brine the night before, 15 minutes before, after. All we're doing is this. So what we're going to do with this one is season 1 steak liberally on one side, because the reason why I'm doing this is to show you that depending on your steak seasoning, it can react different with the griddle, okay? Your average spices, salt, pepper, garlic, whatever other spices you got in there, some of them have sugars in them. They will react differently on the griddle, which will change the color of your steak. Okay, so just let that sit there for a second. With these steaks, we're gonna keep it neutral. All I'm doing is salt and pepper because we're going to eat these different ways later as a family. But for this test recipe, I don't want the colors to change on these steaks. So I've got some nice kosher salt, flaky. The bigger or thicker your piece of meat is, the more salt it can handle. Make sure you get your sides. You can roll it if you need to. Okay. If you want to take a line down, just like that. That fat cap is going to be very important for us. I'll show you guys that later. Go higher up with your seasonings. It gets a little bit more even. Let me show you what I'm saying. If you get too close to your meat, go higher up. Okay. It seasons it just a little bit more evenly. Just like that.
Boy, that's a good tip. Did you do that in the steakhouse too?
Yeah, we handled a lot of steaks. All right, fresh cracked pepper. Same thing. Cutting board. Then you're just going to roll your filet. You do that on a sirloin ball. All right, our griddle is ripping hot right now. Our steaks are out. Today I'm using beef tallow. A lot of people recommended it. You can use that. You can use a good high heat oil, something like that, whatever your fancy is, okay? The oil is going to help make the crust. I'm gonna start with the thicker cuts of meat first. They're gonna take longer to cook. All right, we're looking at about a minute, minute and a half. Now there is a big debate on how often you flip your meat. Some people say you put it on there for 2 minutes, flip it to 2 minutes, flip it for a minute, flip it for a minute, back and forth. Other people say let it sit, let it develop its crust. I think there's arguments on both sides. I'll give my opinion on that one on the website. We're going to flip these more often. You will notice once we have these ribeyes, since they're thinner, you don't have that luxury of flipping often because it happens so fast. You're never going to get the crust. Right there's my spot. Just move it right over. You see that crust right there? That's beautiful.
That looks good.
Right there in the middle. Don't press down hard. You're not pressing the juices out. All I'm trying to look for is even contact on the grill.
Are you seasoning your grill at the same time?
Well, I'll tell you what.
I've learned a thing or two.
So, it has been mentioned 1,000 times. I think the more people get inside the videos and understand my methods, my techniques, my cooking, they understand. This is a perfect way to season your griddle. You've already got a good fat, right? It's a high heat beef fat oil. You use avocado oil. You have so much surface area going on your griddle. You can throw some avocado oil down. You can throw some Crisco, canola oil, whatever. Use that to your advantage.
Because the griddle is already hot.
Yep. You see that fat cap on the edge right there? Before we turn it over on this side, I'm gonna flip it just like that. Let some of that fat render out, and that's gonna be our baseline for our next flip. All right. With our fillets, I'm gonna start moving it off the heat. Remember, you gotta use your hot zones, right? My hot zone is a lot hotter right there in the middle. Over here, it's going to start cooling down a little bit. With that, we're going to start doing the rolling technique. You see how the edges are really brown? You don't want to keep cooking on the same sides of your top and bottoms. So what we can start doing is just rolling just like this. It's called the roll technique. All right, now that we got that beef fat down, we're gonna start flipping this more often. Number 3 on the list, and probably my most ultimate non-negotiable. the Instant Thermometer. I don't care what your steak looks like on the griddle or the grill. You have to cook to temp. This is the most important tool a cook can have, is cooking to temp. If you think about it and you think I'm that crap crazy, you have restaurants out there that swear up and down by a 1500 degree oven. Restaurants will say they cook on a 900 degree oven. Some restaurants don't cook on the top flame, they cook on the bottom flame. Some people have broilers, some people have grills. The list goes on and on. There's not one right or wrong way, but the most important thing is the internal temp. All right. All we're doing right now is just allowing a couple seconds for this grill to heat back up. Just a light more oil, just a little bit. And I'm gonna show you the difference. I'm gonna keep one, let's say we flip this one more often, okay? I'm gonna flip this one a lot. This one's gonna stay on there, maybe just one flip only. I'm gonna try to show you guys the difference. All right, all I'm doing is going back and forth with this steak right here, flipping it back and forth. This will be the first time flipping this one. Hit it in that new spot, just like that. Look at that crust. See that blackening on that ribeye? That's what I'm telling you about color. The seasonings I have in here would create that, right? I would flip it more often if I had this seasoning on there, and that's a learning curve. Last but not least, I do want to say this. Everything is about preference. Your taste buds are different than mine. I do not like rosemary and garlic and butter finished steaks. I think it tastes like roast. I would much rather have a lot of other flavor combinations. The reason why I say that is somebody's going to say, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. Yeah, you should have, but I don't. So the way I like my steaks is, we've done it 1,000 times before, is a steak hack. I actually believe in compound butters way more than most people. But what we like to do is just add a little pat of butter, a couple of dashes of Worcestershire sauce, and once the steak is done on the surface, whatever surface is on, grill or griddle, then you just move that right on top of the pat of butter, and it creates its own natural pan juices. This is what we talk about when we talk about compound butters. It's the same idea. You can obviously take a little bit of butter, roasted garlic, some Worcestershire sauce, mix it all together, some of your favorite herbs, blend it up, mix it up, and then put it in like a plastic wrap, freeze it, and you can do the same thing.
Like a log?
Yeah. But remember, typically when the last things that touches the surface is the bottom. So it doesn't matter which one. I just put my meat over the butter like that, and then naturally melts. And there you go. There's your steak hack. All right, guys, there you go. So what have we learned? The biggest thing is dry your meat off. That's number one. Dry your meat off. It does not matter what kind of meat it is. Dry it off. You want to start with a dried meat. Number two, hot surface. You don't have to get it cranking hot. You don't have to turn your griddles up on high. I always say on low. If low is like 6 o'clock, I may be having on 7 o'clock because the wind's blowing and it's about 40 degrees out today. And the last one but not least is my ultimate favorite. I just cannot swear by these enough. We'll have the link in the description below for ours, but I'm telling you, it does not matter. Just get one. They're about 20 bucks. Happens on everything. Grilled chicken, smoked pork tenderloin, whatever meat you're using, you got to know the inside temperature. All right. Internal temperature, same thing. Here we go. They have rested enough because I'm tired of talking. Here we go. See how thin they are? It's extreme. Man, when I say it happens fast, it happens fast. See if we can get a good picture right here. I'll cut the cutting board for you. Move the cutting board for you. Now, obviously, the internal temperature is going to be dependent on what you guys like. Medium rare, rare, stuff like that. Okay? So let's sit here for a second. It's actually called blooming. All right, which one do you want to try first? This is why I tell you, it's extremely hard to cook thin steaks and expect a deep crust, because you're going to overcook your steak worried about crust. I'd much rather you worry about internal temp, following those 3 simple steps. You see the band I'm talking about? That's why you want to flip often. It's extremely hard on the griddle, but it can happen. See what you think. All right, here's the strip. I cut up in baby pieces. She said my meat was too big to fit in her mouth. You can't even taste it. Here, shove it back in. All right, hurry up. It's getting cold. Our meat is already cold.
Give me the ribeye. That's what I want.
Now, this is our steak seasoning. This is the one that we like. We're obviously partial to it.
Cut that in half for me.
You
So
gotta
they're
see
not
what I deal
waiting.
with.
So they're not waiting for 5 minutes for me to chew.
All right, guys, there you go. That's my 3 tips to make a better steak on the griddle. Personally, as a side note, I like the crust on my steaks. So that's just how we like to eat it. But everything, and I mean every single thing that you do on a steak is about personal preference. And honestly, that's what I love about cooking. We have a membership button down below. It's a join program. You guys check that out. Or maybe it's a join button. It's a membership program. It's where you guys can help out the channel. Check us out on the Griddle group on Facebook, where we talk about steaks, how to cook the best steak, what's your favorite best seasoning. Valentine's is right around the corner. I know you guys will be pumping out the steaks for the gals or vice versa. Try this method, comment below, and what's your favorite way to do it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to press that subscribe button, pound the notification button, share it with your friends. Peace.